Hey, everybody, I'm Sam Bauer, and this is the Wherever You Go podcast. And I am the moderator and host of this podcast. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about our journey. And, a new year is coming this weekend. By the time you listen to this, it'll be the week of between Christmas and New Year, which is always for me a week of reflection, goal setting, journaling, getting prepared for the coming year. And as I'm kind of looking back over this year and what I learned and what I did and the goals that I did achieve and the goals that I missed, it's hard for me not to look back over the last couple of years and kind of take that all and move forward into 2022 with a lot of energy and excitement and enthusiasm, because the last few years for me have been a challenge in different ways. And I've learned so much. It was my first, the end of 2021 will be my second full year in business being completed. And so just from a business perspective, everything I've learned from now being in business for a little over 2.5 years, plus some personal things that I've gone through in the last few years, kind of refining myself. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share about today, is kind of what my journeys look like in an effort to inspire you to kind of consider where you are in your journey and continue moving forward, because it's easy for us to break. We go through a lot of stuff in life and in our businesses and with our families, and it'd be really easy to take the easy road and just kind of stop, do it easier, take the easier path, or we can keep pressing forward into the plans that God has for us and the person that God's made us to be, even whenever it can be challenging. So I just want to talk a little bit to you all about that today, and about what my journeys look like, what I've learned, what my takeaways are, and why I'm so freaking excited for 2022. And I don't know what's going to happen next year. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, honestly. But I am filled with hope and excitement. And I'm at a place right now where I'm the favorite version of myself that I've ever been. So it's been a journey. But I'm going to share a little bit about that today. Hopefully it strikes a chord, helps you with your journey. And I'd love to hear your feedback. And if you guys want to share with me where you are, I'd love to hear it, encourage you, and be there to support you through it. But basically, as I look back, I kind of, when you build something and when you're stepping into God's purpose for you, there are going to be a lot of obstacles, just generally, even if you're not feel like you're stepping into God's plan, but you're trying to do something that you want to do, things are going to pop up in your life that are just going to make it a little bit challenging. So you've really got to have that kind of like tenacity and ability to keep driving the ship forward, even whenever there's rough waters, or, it looks a little hazy, or maybe you need to slow down a little bit to speed up and things like that. But I would say, for me, the transition from 2019 into 2020, that season of my life was the most difficult season of my life that I've ever experienced. My daughter was very sick, fighting for her life. We just went through this whole series of surgeries to get her well. I lost a baby to a miscarriage at the beginning of January in that year of 2020. And so for me, 2020 was really kind of like a weird year of what just happened, and I got to get through that, so I pressed into my business. I pressed into loving my family the only way I know how. I pressed into my church, and I just really got through it. And sometimes, guys, that's what you have to do. I can't say that I did well that year in my business, and I homeschooled my kids that year, and I did all the things that I needed to do in order to get through it and get my family through it and try to help us stay emotionally healthy, if you could even call it that, because we're still struggling emotionally from the impact of those traumatizing things that happened. but here we are, right? So we're doing it. So for me, 2020 was kind of a weird year of like, I'm going to keep going. Get up every morning. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to love my kids as hard as I can. I'm going to work my business as hard as I can. I'm going to love my God with every ounce of me that I can, because I know the gifts that he gave to me through those trials, and they're going to take me into the next steps of my life, because we know, right, from the Bible, it's very clearly written that God does all things for our good. God makes all things work together for our good, is the way it's stated. And so with that hope and faith, like I said, I got up every morning, I did my thing, I worked my business, I loved my family, and we made it. We got through 2020. And then for me, 2021 was a real big year of development, growth, and accepting the new me. And it sounds so cheesy, but it's so true, because I realized while I was like kind of going through that whole thing in 2020, where I was like, all right, we're just going to do this. Like, we're going to keep going. Nothing, there was a part of me that wanted things to go back to the way they were before all that stuff happened. And I came to the realization this year that I'm not going back. There's no going back to becoming the person that I was before I almost lost my daughter and I did lose a baby. Like, I'm not the same person that I used to be. And that's okay. I'm actually a much better person. Like I said, I'm the best version as far as that I like of myself than I've ever been. And it's been kind of an ugly, crazy journey to get there. But again, here I am, right? So 2021 for me was much in reflection, doing a lot of journaling, finding out who I am now and how is this person going to help me continue to become the person that God made me to be. And the truth is, I am becoming the person that God made me to be through all of these things and through all of the trials and through all of the heartbreak. It's really made me look at myself, do some personal growth things, work with a business and a life coach, and do a lot of journaling, start doing meditation. And it all sounds so like not, if you told me this 3 years ago, I would have laughed at you and been like, I can't sit still long enough to do those things. Like, that sounds so cheesy. And like, who has time for that? Because I was so driven, which I continue to be so driven, but I also realized that there's so much more to life. There's so much more to value and cherish. And our lives are so much bigger than our businesses or our goals. And those are huge, important parts of who we are. And I've not let off the gas at all in any of those facets, but I have changed my expectations and I have changed my priorities to a point where, like I said, I really like who I'm becoming, and I still have a long way to go. And 2022 is going to help me continue to do that. And I'm going to continue to do things for myself that are going to help me grow and develop as a person, as a wife and a mom and a business owner. And I'm excited for that. But yeah, so I would say like my reflecting of this year is really like, I went through the hard stuff, right? Where I was kind of in the pit. I climbed out and I managed to keep on walking in 2020. 2021 was a big year for me of self-development, growth, figuring out who I want to be, who I want to surround myself with, really listening for God's tips and his guidance on what he wants me to do, and leaning into that. And so I'm really excited for 2022 and some of the learnings that I took from 2021, which I'll encourage you guys, if you've been through something hard and you kind of feel like you're in that rut where you're like, all right, I'm still going, but it's hard. Here's some of the things that helped me this year, and that I'm excited to take with me into 2022. So a couple learnings, and then a couple things that like really I felt really impacted me was, one, I did work with a coach for business as well as personal. And through that coaching, I took away a lot of kind of things that had been stuck in me from the time I was like a small child, I was able to release some of that. So like caring what other people think is probably the biggest thing for me, where I just don't anymore. Like, it's not that I don't value people's opinions and I don't value their feedback if it's constructive. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to become the person that God wants me to be, He is the only one that I can care what they think. And so that's been so freeing for me, because before I would get a little bit like upset if somebody didn't want to work with me, or if I lost a client, or if, there are people out there that take advantage, right? And that would like offend me a little bit, because I'm a giver and I give everything and I don't have expectations of anybody really returning anything when I help them. But sometimes, you feel a little bit hurt whenever it happens. So I've gone through this where I've come to realize that God is going to put the people in front of you that are supposed to be in front of you, and the people who aren't going to. So if I spend a bunch of time worrying or trying to pursue people who aren't interested in working with me, that's holding me back from the other people that God has already put in front of me that I could be, building relationships with and growing with and developing with and cheering on and having this like great relationship with, because I'm worried about somebody who didn't. Like, now it sounds so silly to me. And when I say it out loud, it is silly, but I said it probably a million times to different people this year, like, oh, that's my person, or that's just not my person. And that is okay. I still love them. I care about them. They're not my person though. So I'm not going to like pursue a relationship. If I lose a client now, I know that's cool, because I'm going to get 10 more who are great. Or if, I don't win, I shouldn't say lose, because I don't lose a lot of clients once I work with them. But if I don't get them up front, that's where it's okay. It's okay, because there's going to be more people that come along that are going to appreciate and value what I do. And I'm not going to have to chase them down. And I think that's the big thing, is like, you don't have to chase people down. If they're supposed to be in your life, you don't have to chase them. God already put them there, and they're there for you to be. So that for me was like a big personal thing that really, really helped me to move forward. And then another thing for me is really tapping into the things that I love to do. So I love singing. I've always loved singing, and I just haven't done it in a long, long time. I sang a lot in high school. I sang a little bit in college, and then I just stopped I don't know why. I never really pursued doing it. And then early in this year, I was asked to sing in our church's worship band one Sunday, and I did it, and it was so fun. And it took me a while to get used to doing it and being in front of people again, but tapping kind of into that artistic side of myself and like something that I love doing and using that to worship God, like it's helped me to grow so much this year as a person. And again, it also has helped me to overcome some head things that I have going on, which I still struggle with a little bit. I still get a little bit nervous, but and really doing that and exposing myself in that way, and getting up in front of people and singing songs, that has been something for me that it's reminded me who I was when I was a little kid, and something that I love doing. And also it allows my children to see me worshiping God and serving my church in that way, that makes them then think of like ways that they can do it too. And hopefully it inspires other people to find ways that they can serve. So I would say I'm not saying everybody's a singer and they should go sing in their church, but like if you have a hobby or an art or a gift that you can share with others, maybe it's playing an instrument, maybe it's teaching a sport or coaching a sport, or maybe it's art, maybe drawing or painting, or kind of tapping into that creative side and challenging yourself to grow and continue to develop in ways that aren't part of your business, aren't maybe something that you would do normally. I encourage you to do that, because it really kind of has helped me reconnect with that part of myself that I was missing. And I didn't realize I missed it until I started doing it again, and how much I enjoy it. And the camaraderie that comes with, working with others to put together a song or whatever it is, I think that's a great way for you to find yourself again, is to remember what it is that you love doing and do it. Maybe it's woodworking, or maybe it's like I said, clay or painting or quilting, knitting. People make beautiful things, and being able to share your gift with other people, it's a meaningful way to dig down into yourself and really like find yourself again. So that was one of the things this year that I wasn't expecting. I didn't seek it out really. It just it happened, and I prayed about it, and God said, go, please, like, go do this. And so I have, and I've been challenged in ways that I wasn't ready for, and really have helped me grow and help my confidence, and also help me remember like some of the baggage that I have and some of the lies that the world has told me that had been like holding me up from doing that in the past. So do the things you love to do, share your gifts with others, and see how that helps you kind of find yourself and grow as a person. So self-development, the coaching, finding a little bit of a hobby that you really, really love doing and sharing it with others. And then, so journaling has been really big for me this year too. I've started journaling, writing down my feelings, writing down my goals. It just might be ideas about my business. I journal that down. It might just be some things I love about my husband. I journal that down. Some things that made me happy today. What am I grateful for today? Whatever is on my mind. I have a journal. I carry it in my purse. When my kids are at gymnastics, a lot of times I journal while they're doing gymnastics. You don't have to like set aside special time. It's something you can do anywhere at any time. But getting your ideas down on paper, sometimes I have to write down the lies that I feel like the devil's telling me or the world's telling me right now that I know aren't true. Sometimes it might be numbers. I do, strangely enough, a lot of math in my journal because I'm like trying to figure out goals and trying to figure out what do I need to do to get to this point where this can happen in my business. Like whatever it is, journaling is amazing. It's an amazing release of like getting stuff out of your head and onto paper. And it also is empowering, especially if you're writing down, like I said, the lies that you're hearing from the world. It's getting that out of your head and putting it down onto paper. And it gives you power when you're like, wait a minute, I'm recognizing that this is not a truth. It's something that I've been told and it's a lie and it's holding me back from my goals. So getting that down onto paper for me has been a huge release. So that's one more thing this year that's helped me. And then also meditation. It sounds, again, so like granola-y or like whatever. But it's helped me so much, you guys. Like I'll sit down even for 1 minute or 2 minutes in the morning and just breathe and clear my head and try to listen. I do have a hard time just clearing my head and not thinking about anything. So I try to listen for God in those moments of quietness. I try to listen for, show me what to do. Tell me if this is right or wrong. And I pray about it, I meditate, and then I'm done. And sometimes I can meditate longer. Sometimes I listen. There's like a Christian yoga meditation that I like to listen to sometimes it honestly annoys, like it just kind of depends on my day, and that's okay. And having grace with yourself to like not have to do anything perfectly or not have to do it the same every single day. But that's helped me a lot to clear my mind, really try to listen for God. You guys may know based on the fact that I podcast, I just talked about that I like to sing. I'm in a sales position. I like to talk a lot, and I like to get my opinion across a lot. Sometimes it's hard for me to listen, and it's a skill that I've had to refine and I've had to work on, and I still work on it every day. And listening to God is probably the hardest part of my relationship with him, because sometimes I think I hear what I want to hear. I'm never confident that like this is what he wants me to do or not. And so this practice for me has really helped me to listen for what he's telling me to do. And honestly, without that, this podcast wouldn't even have happened, because it was something that like I'd thought about multiple times. I never thought I was quite qualified to do it. I didn't think I had enough experience with business or life or whatever. And then, I meditate. And one day, like it came into my head while I was meditating. And so I prayed on it, and here I am. And so, just kind of like leaning into those things. Right. And if in a year, it's not the thing that he wants me to do anymore, then I'll know that. But, leaning into the things that God speaks to you during your quiet time is huge. And so my last like my last tip or thing that really helped me this year to remember who I am is spending time with God. So I started waking up early. Well, I've always woken up early, as you guys probably know if you listen to this. I'm an annoying morning person. But I, instead of getting up and jumping right into work or jumping right onto social media or jumping right into my email, I wake up and I jump right into the Bible. I've done like a bunch of different Bible studies this year. It's given me back my time with God, which I wasn't doing before. I was, too worried about my business. I was too worried about my emails, too worried about my kids when I was homeschooling and making sure that everything was right, that like, I just didn't feel like I had time for God, which is a ridiculous thing to say. And a ridiculous way to feel, but how many of us have felt that? I mean, it's easy, just like anything, to not do those super important things. And then you look back and you're like, oh yeah, there's that world again, getting in my way of my relationship with God, holding me back from the person that I want to be. Because guess what? The time that I spend with God is going to just bring me closer to the person that God wants me to be. So I made sure this year that was like a thing that I needed to do. And I did it. And it has changed my life in so many ways. I mean, I just, from doing my Bible studies every morning and reading different Bible verses and digging into the Bible a little bit deeper than I had before. I always read verses or, Psalms or Proverbs, and it's easy to read those chapters because you don't have to, you can kind of piecemeal those ones. You don't have to read the whole chapter in order to like get the point. But really digging into some of the stories into the Bible and just really like challenging myself to look at things in different ways and follow along with the Bible studies. It's been huge for me. Huge. I am so much closer to God today than I was a year ago today, just based on the fact that I went out of my way to spend more time with him. And so those were the things for this year that I am truly not the same person that I was in 2020. And I am definitely not the same person I was at the beginning of 2019. 2019, nothing bad had really ever happened to me. I've had challenges and whatever, like nothing crazy. Then the end of that year when we got smacked with, Andy being sick and then losing the baby, it was just like, whoa, what's happening, right? So my 2020 was a year of, like I said, just keep on trucking and prove to myself that I can get through this. And I did. And then 2021 was a year of reflection and growth and development. From a business standpoint, my business has continued to grow since I opened the doors. Again, that's God and God putting the right people in my path and my hard work ethic that God gave me. And he's, I know, using my business for something that's going to be big as I move forward. But from a business perspective this year, I did learn a really important lesson about staying true to yourself and staying true to your plan. So if you are a business owner listening to this and you are in your first 3 years of business, I encourage you to follow your own plan. Don't get sidetracked by something else. Or I had the opportunity to hire. I wasn't prepared to do so, and I wasn't planning to do so until the end of this year. But I did it early because I did find a wonderful person. It ended up not panning out. And for me, I was okay with that because I knew that was a risk coming into it and I had it all calculated and I was able to afford to do it. However, it wasn't for me and it wasn't my plan. And I did it and I don't regret it, again, because it was an amazing learning experience for me. And now I have so many lessons that I'm going to take forward when I do hire again. But it set me back a little bit. It set me a little bit back from the plans that I had already made. So for me, it was, all right, Sam, like, don't jump into something when you weren't ready, and trust your own freaking plan. Like, it was a great lesson for me and it was a great experience. But at the end of the day, it was such a good lesson. And like, I had this plan. I was prepared to be very patient and very slow about my growth. And I got excited because it's like I saw a shiny object, and I adore this person. I still adore this person. And I knew that they would make a great fit for the agency. And so I jumped in with both feet, and I should have waited. So again, such a good learning experience. And I had a blast this year with this person, growing and helping this person develop. But at the end of the day, I'm like, why? I should have waited, but I got excited, and I saw opportunity for growth, and I saw opportunity to maybe take some extra days off that I could spend with my family, which I was able to, and it was lovely. But it was a great reminder to me to stay the course. I had a plan, and it was a good, solid plan. And I deviated from that plan. And again, I don't regret it, because it was a great learning experience, but the learning was that going forward, I'm going to follow my plan. So it's going to be, another year of me being by myself until I can make that next shift that we're planning as a family. And then once that happens, we are going to scale in a pretty cool way in 2023 and beyond. So I am super excited for 2022 because I'm going to be able to stay focused. And focus is going to be my word in 2022. It's going to be a focus on your business, and not in this order: your business, your God, and your family. And that's going to be my year this year. It's if you're not finding me at the office, you're going to find me at church. And if you're not finding me there, you're going to find me at home, or doing something with my kids, or doing something special with my husband, because that's who I am today. And in a year from now, I'm going to be somebody else. And probably accepting that, you guys, has been something that we all need to do, is realizing that we grow as people. It's a journey, right? Life is a journey. We're running a race straight to God. And so some of those miles are going to be harder than others, but they're going to make us stronger. Some of those miles are going to be, miles of reflection and growth. And that's hard too. It's not easy to kind of let go of the person that you used to be, and be okay with shifting and changing. And growth is stretching, right? So it's not always easy. And realizing some of the things that have been holding you back, it's like, oh my gosh, I did this meditation with my friend who was really short. And you know what, I'll say it to you guys right now. So like, close your eyes, and picture yourself walking, and you're walking like in a field, and you look up and you see your dream house. It's the perfect house. It's where you want to be in 5 years from now. So you're walking and you see this beautiful, whatever your dream, whatever you want to be in 5 years, that's what you see. You walk up and you knock on the front door and you answer it, the you 5 years from now. And you get so excited to see yourself, and you give yourself a huge big hug, and you sit down, maybe have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, whatever, a cup of wine, whatever it is that you're having at the time. And the house is beautiful. It's exactly the way you wanted it in 5 years from now. And the you from 5 years ago looks at you and says one thing. What is that one thing that you say to yourself 5 years from now? And then she gives you, or he gives you, a big hug, and you walk back out of the house and you walk away from it, and you kind of sit there for a minute, and then you open your eyes again, and you're who you are right now. And for me, that was, I was crying whenever I was doing this, because it was like, wow, that's who I can be in 5 years. That's who it's in my head already. I know where I want to go. I just have to take the steps to get there. And so I need to lean in, right, to God's plan for me to help me get to that point where I'm in that place whatever, it might not even be a different house, maybe the same house you're in, but you're in a different place, right? In 5 years than you are today. And so, it just, for me, it was like so eye-opening to kind of go through that, and talk to myself. And what was the thing that I said to myself, is that, it's going to be okay. Keep going. Don't stop. And that was what I said to myself. You might have said something different to yourself, but what I said to myself was keep going. Don't stop. God has great plans for you. You just have to keep going. And so, that's where, like, I know the meditation thing might be far out there for some of you. So if you just think I'm a wackadoodle, that's okay. Because I'm okay with that. But it's helped me immensely. And so I wish the best 2022 for all of you in your business and your personal life and whatever you're going through. You might be going through what I went through in 2019. And I am here to tell you, sister or brother, that it's going to be okay. You're going to get through it. It might take time. It might take a year of kind of like, I'm going, waking up and doing my thing. I'm encouraging others. I'm going to keep doing this. And then it might take a year of kind of like introspective growth and, learning who you are now. Cause like I said, and I don't know how to explain that other than like, once you experience certain things, you look at life differently and you look at people differently and you look at minutes differently. Like things are just not the same as they were before I watched my daughter fight for her life. And they're not the same as they were before I lost a baby. So like, I don't look at the world the same way, and it's okay. I actually see it much brighter now. I see people in a way that like, I just value them so much. And I try not to take a minute for granted. And I try not to be too busy for church. And I try not to be too busy to serve. And I try, things that maybe I took for granted before, maybe I wasted away some minutes, maybe I wasted away some days or hours and didn't cherish my time. So here's the 2022, you guys. Let's do this, whichever stage or journey or phase of your life that you're in. Keep going. Jeremiah 29:11, the Lord says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." So as you're reflecting back on the last year, or maybe you're like me and you're reflecting back on 3 years, because why just reflect on one? Maybe you're thinking like, oh man, I'm not getting where I wanted to go, or I'm stuck in this rut, or it's just a really hard time right now. I can't imagine like getting past whatever it is that I'm going through. Think about Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. He declares it. He's not just saying it. It's like, I made you for a purpose. I have plans for you. They are good plans to prosper you and not to harm you. So if you're feeling like the victim, which it's easy to feel like when you're going through things, just know like God's going to use that hard stuff to make you better down the road. And he's going to use it all together for your good. Plans to give you hope and a future. So cheers to that, my friends. Cheers to 2022, a new year. Whatever your goals are, whatever you are working to achieve, my prayer for you is that you step into it, you lean into it, and you do the things that God has planned for you. So with that, I'm going to end today's podcast with Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.